Chapter 24. Compatibility and Chemistry. Why do we love who we love? Have you ever wondered why you fall in love with one person and not another? What pulls us like a magnet to that one person, sometimes against logic or our own expectations? Is it just a whim of the heart, Cupid playing a prank and shooting arrows at random? Or are there invisible threads, biological, psychological, perhaps even philosophical, that tie us to the ones we love? Both science and life show us that romantic attraction is a complex blend of chemistry and compatibility. Simply put, we often fall in love with our hearts, but we stay together with our souls and our minds. Let's untangle the threads of this fascinating puzzle. Chemistry, that electrifying something, is often the first culprit when we lose our heads over someone. Your heart races, your knees go weak, and you can't wipe that silly grin off your face. Intense physical attraction can strike like lightning. You see someone and feel something powerful, instantly, without knowing why. That's where the idea of chemistry between two people comes from. Literally, your body responds chemically to the other person's presence. The scent of their skin, yes, those pheromones we keep hearing about, the tone of their voice, the way they smile, all press old buttons in our brains, hardwired by nature to recognize a potential mate. It's as if deep within us there's a detector for genetic compatibility. Some theories even say we're drawn to people whose genes are different enough from ours to give future children a healthy edge. Who would have thought that behind a passionate kiss might stand evolutionary biology? Beyond that, initial attraction carries a touch of poetic mystery, the moment your eyes meet and time seems to stop for a second. Pure magic, nothing less. But let's be honest, chemistry on its own can be misleading. It can blind us like a powerful spotlight on a dark stage. We see only what shines on the surface and ignore the rest. When hormones are dancing and the heart is singing loudly, the mind often waits quietly in the wings. That's how we end up idealizing someone we barely know. They seem perfect, flawless. Has that ever happened to you? Your friends say, "Hold on, don't you see there are issues here or there?" And you reply happily, "Relax, the chemistry between us will fix everything." The truth is, under the spell of physical attraction, we can overlook important signals of incompatibility. Maybe you don't share the same values, maybe communication is strained, maybe one wants something serious while the other is just playing around. Intense passion is like sugar in coffee. It sweetens everything in the moment, but it can't hide the bitter taste of fundamental disagreements forever. This is where the other side of the equation comes in: compatibility. It's the deep fit between two people, your values, character, dreams, and way of life aligning. It's that easy feeling that with the person you love, you can be truly yourself, no masks, no fear of being judged. Compatibility means wanting similar things from life, or at least being able to respect and embrace your differences without hurting each other. Do opposites attract, or do birds of a feather flock together? Probably both, in varying doses. Often, differences bring a beautiful balance. One's extroverted, the other quieter. They complement each other. Or one is a dreamer and the other pragmatic. Together they make a great team, if they know how to value each other's perspective. Other times, differences that are too big can become a source of conflict. If one puts family first and the other puts career first, it will take a lot of understanding to make the relationship work. Personality typologies like the well-known MBTI with INFP and other letter combinations try to explain why certain personalities click more readily. For example, someone very emotional and idealistic might feel misunderstood next to a highly logical, analytical partner, or on the contrary, might find in them the steadiness they need, as long as there's respect. These classifications aren't set in stone, but they do highlight one sure thing: who we are shapes how we connect. No wonder we sometimes love someone strikingly similar to us, because we feel at home with that person, while other times we fall for our opposite, precisely because they fascinate us and challenge us to grow. Our emotional baggage matters a great deal too. Psychologists talk about attachment styles. Some people have an anxious attachment style, constantly needing reassurance, afraid of being abandoned. Others have an avoidant attachment style, keeping their distance, feeling suffocated by too much closeness. And others are secure, balanced, and comfortable with intimacy. The great irony is that opposites in attachment often attract. The anxiously attached person frequently falls for someone avoidant. The result? A dynamic where one pursues and the other pulls away, a dance of approach and distance that can be painful, yet familiar to those involved. Why would we choose, even unconsciously, someone who triggers our deepest fears? Perhaps because we're trying to heal old wounds through a new script, hoping this time it will be different. Or simply because that's the love blueprint we learned in childhood, and our brain mistakes it for home. It's sobering to realize that sometimes we love not what is good for us, but what is familiar. And then there's something else, hard to pin down in words. Let's call it the alchemy of souls. Here we step onto the terrain of philosophy and poetry. Some people believe in soulmates, that each of us has somewhere in this vast world a perfect other half. Others say there are no halves, that we choose whom we love, and that person becomes special through the story we build together. Either way, many loves seem to carry a thread of cosmic timing, that perfect moment when two lives meet and recognize each other. Fate or coincidence? Hard to say. Maybe we also fall in love based on timing. When we're ready, even if we don't know it to love, someone shows up who can spark the flame. Had they appeared a year earlier or later, it might not have been the same. It feels almost magical, doesn't it? Love has a way of bringing to the surface parts of us we didn't know we had, of teaching us lessons, and of challenging us exactly where we need to grow. So, why do we love who we love? Because a wild mix of factors plays its part. Biology does its work with its sweet, heady chemistry. Psychology whispers old patterns and deep needs in our ear. And life's context, along with that mysterious spark of fate, aligns encounters and moments. Sometimes we fall for someone's smile, other times for the way they make us feel safe. Maybe we love someone's eyes because they carry something of the look from a mother or father who soothed us in childhood, or we love someone's soul because it resonates with ours like two instruments tuned to the same key. Hard to explain completely, but beautiful to live, don't you think? Theory, however, becomes truly interesting when we see it play out in real life. Get ready. What follows is a scene with sparks flying, raw emotions, and questions about how far heart and mind can take us when they race each other. Jennifer slowly lit the second candle on the table and glanced at the clock again. 8:15. Dinner had been set for 7:30, and Michael still hadn't arrived. In Jennifer's small apartment, the atmosphere was warm and festive. On the dining table, two slender candles glowed beside neatly set plates and a bouquet of daisies, Michael's favorite flowers. The air smelled of quattro formaggi pasta, his favorite dish, which Jennifer had worked hard to cook, following a recipe from a food blog. Their song La Vie en Rose played softly on the radio, and on the couch a neatly wrapped package in blue paper waited patiently, a set of vintage fountain pens, her surprise gift for him. Every detail was perfect, except Michael wasn't there. Jennifer felt a knot of anxiety in her stomach as she turned the stove off completely. The pasta had long gone cold. He must be stuck in traffic, or maybe he's still at the office, she told herself, trying to excuse him, but a more stubborn voice in her mind whispered, he's late again, and today, of all days when we're celebrating 6 months together, couldn't he have left earlier if he knew how much you wanted this night to be special? Sighing, Jennifer sat on the edge of the sofa and wrapped her arms around herself. She wore a burgundy dress, elegant yet comfortable, and had lightly curled her hair. She'd wanted it to be a special moment for both of them, a small but meaningful anniversary. For her, moments like this matter enormously. She loves to celebrate love, to create memories. She knew Michael cared about her, but sometimes he seemed so caught up in his own world that he forgot to pay attention to the little details she considered important. 8:30. A faint scent of melted wax and congealed cheese hung in the air. Jennifer felt disappointment prick her heart. She had slipped from worry slowly into anger. Her phone hadn't rung at all. Not even a message from Michael. Had he really forgotten? Or does he simply not care as much? The thought brought a bitter sadness. The sting of unshed tears began to burn at the corners of her eyes. She checked her phone screen once more. Nothing new. Silence. Only the soft music and the flicker of the candles kept her company. Slowly, Jennifer stood and went to the window, drawing the curtain aside. Outside, the summer night was clear, with scattered stars. "Where are you?" she whispered in her mind, gazing at her own troubled reflection in the glass. Suddenly, The sound of a key turning in the lock made her jump. The front door opened and Michael appeared in the doorway, breathing hard, his face scored with fatigue and worry. He was still wearing his suit jacket and holding a bag, the necks of 2 wine bottles peeking out. His eyes landed on the set table and on Jennifer's tense figure by the window. "Jen, I'm so sorry," he began in a low voice, but Jennifer raised a hand, stopping him. "You're late," she said simply. Yet in those 2 words lay a tangle of emotions, relief that he was safe, fury that he had stood her up, and the dull sadness that her magic moment had crumbled. I know, forgive me, please." Michael closed the door behind him and took a step toward her, setting the bag down. "It was madness at the office, a last-minute project. My boss asked me to redo some reports, and I just couldn't leave. I sent you a message, but I think it didn't go through." "A message?" Her voice, usually gentle, sounded harsh now. "That's all you could manage? A message miles past the time you were supposed to be here?" She stopped, trying to steady the tremor in her throat. "Michael, I sat here waiting like a fool," she went on with a bitter smile, gesturing toward the cooled meal. "I made dinner, I set everything up. 6 months we've been together, doesn't that matter to you? Were you really so busy you couldn't even call?" Her words fell like stones, one by one. Michael ran a hand through his tousled hair, a sign he felt overwhelmed by the situation. "I'm sorry," he repeated. "You know I care about you. Of course it's important to me. I didn't forget the anniversary. Look, I got your favorite wine and your favorite flower." He awkwardly held out the bag with the bottles and from behind him pulled out a flower, a white daisy, a bit rumpled, that he'd tucked into his breast pocket. "I really was thinking of you." Jennifer looked at the wilted flower and the unexpected gift. Under different circumstances, the gesture would have seemed touching. Now, though, it was too late. "You thought of me," she whispered, "but you still weren't here." She gently pushed away the hand holding the flower, without taking it. "Michael, the problem isn't the wine, or the flower, or the cold dinner. The problem is that I feel like I put this relationship first, and you keep putting me last. I feel as if I don't really matter." Michael's eyes widened, stunned and stung by her words. "How can you say that? You do matter, Jennifer, so much. It's just that I have responsibilities. You know how much I want to advance, to make something of myself. And I'm doing it for the 2 of us too, so we can have stability." "Stability?" Jennifer almost laughed, but the sound was choked with tears. "What good is that stability if you're not beside me when I need you? Do you think I don't want to see you fulfilled? I do, but I believe life is happening now, not only in some hypothetical future when everything will be perfect. Our present matters. I matter here and now." In the small room, their emotions hung in the air like 2 storms crashing into each other. The candle flames flickered, throwing shifting shadows on the walls. Michael felt a lump in his throat. He loved her. His heart wouldn't let him deny that, and his intentions had been good, but faced with her disappointed gaze, all the excuses he'd prepared evaporated. "You're right, the present matters," he said softly, his voice breaking. "It's just that sometimes I feel a huge pressure to do everything by the book. I was raised to believe that if I don't work hard for the future, I'll lose everything. Maybe I go too far, maybe I forget to live in the moment, but that doesn't mean I don't love you." Jennifer listened, trying to steady her heart, which was pounding wildly, out of anger, sadness, love mixed with frustration. She had fears of her own. She tried to put what she felt into words, wiping her damp cheeks. "You know, my father was a wonderful man, but he worked all the time. When I was little, he'd promise we'd go to the movies or fishing, and many times he'd forget or something from work would come up. My mother would smile and say, 'Understand him, he's doing it for us,' and I did understand, but I'd be left there with 2 unused tickets in my hand. Maybe that's why I react this way. When you don't show up, I feel like I'm reliving that disappointment." Michael was speechless for a moment. Without thinking, he took 2 steps and pulled Jennifer into his arms, holding her with all the warmth he had. "Forgive me," he whispered in her ear. "I didn't know. I'm sorry I made you feel that way. Look, I promise." He hesitated a moment, then continued resolute. "I promise that next time I'll do everything I can. You're my family now, and I won't put you second anymore." Jennifer buried her face in his jacket, inhaling his familiar scent, now laced with the faint aroma of paper and ink from the office. She clung to him with all her strength, as if trying to anchor her soul to his. Slowly, her anger melted away, leaving only that sweet ache of love. "I'm sorry too for judging you so harshly," she murmured. "I know you work hard and your intentions are good. Maybe I need to learn to be more flexible sometimes, to trust you." He drew back a little to look her in the eye. In the flickering light, Michael's brown eyes were full of sincerity and care, just as she knew them to be. He stroked her cheek with his thumb. "Thank you. And I love you, Jen." Jennifer finally smiled, a warm, resigned smile that was nonetheless full of affection. "I love you too, Michael, even when you drive me absolutely crazy," she added, arching a brow, then gave a soft giggle. Michael laughed as well, relieved to hear her joking. He pulled her closer and pressed a long kiss to her forehead, holding her in his arms for a few moments that could have been an eternity. The candles had burned down almost completely, and the pasta had gone cold, but neither of them was paying attention to that anymore. Michael pulled away just long enough to pick up the plates from the table. "You're not going anywhere. I'll be right back," he said with a mysterious air, and disappeared into the kitchen. Jennifer heard him bustling energetically for a couple of minutes, and then he returned with a pan in hand. "I know your wonderful dinner has gone cold, but all is not lost," he declared. "Chef Michael takes charge. We reheat the pasta and make it even better." Jennifer burst into a genuine, liberating laugh. She stood up too, wiping away the last smudges of smeared makeup beneath her eyes. "I'll help you too, sous chef," she said with a smile. Soon the two of them were in the cramped kitchen, stirring the pasta and tasting the sauce straight from the spoon, amid laughter. Michael sprinkled a little fresh parmesan and pepper theatrically, as if he were cooking in a fine dining restaurant. Jennifer poured white wine into glasses, finally put to use. They then sat down at the table side by side and ate late into the night, whispering and joking like two kids who had just come through a little adventure. "You know," Jennifer said, playing with his fingers under the table, "we're so different in so many ways. But this feeling, sitting here with you, calm and at peace, is priceless." That evening, Jennifer fell asleep in Michael's arms on the couch, while the same La Vie en Rose played on repeat on the radio in the background. Through the window left ajar, the night breeze carried the sweet scent of summer. Jennifer closed her eyes, content. Even though their story had its difficult moments, in that instant she knew her heart was in the right place, where passion meets understanding and true love begins to take root. Jennifer and Michael's story shows us how complicated and wonderful the dance between chemistry and compatibility can be. At first, they were drawn to each other like moths to a flame. The chemistry between them was strong, irresistible, yet as the honeymoon phase faded, the real differences in their personalities and values began to surface. Jennifer longed for presence, deep emotional connection, and to feel that the relationship was a priority in their lives. Michael, by contrast, emphasized responsibility, material stability, and fulfilling obligations in his mind. Tending to his career was a way of showing love, securing a comfortable future. Neither of them was fundamentally wrong in what they wanted, but the way those desires clashed caused them pain. Chemistry couldn't wipe away Jennifer's tears or Michael's frustration. Physical attraction and the intense early emotions aren't enough to sustain a relationship unless it's also nourished by compatibility, by communication, respect, and shared goals. So what did they do in the end? They communicated honestly. Instead of letting conflict build a wall between them, they revealed their deeper fears to each other. Jennifer told him about her childhood and her fear of being pushed to second place. Michael confessed the pressure he feels not to fail. In those moments of mutual vulnerability, they began to truly understand each other. That's the essence of compatibility, not being identical in every way, but being willing to listen to and accept the other in their differences. Finding common ground even when you see the world differently. Jennifer and Michael realized their love was worth the effort to adjust each of their courses a little so their paths could continue together. Small compromises, like Michael's promise to organize his time better or Jennifer's effort to understand his ambitions, are, in fact, the big victories of true love. It's important to underscore, if Michael had been completely indifferent to Jennifer's needs, or if Jennifer hadn't had the patience to understand Michael's perspective, their story could have ended differently, perhaps with a bitter breakup. That's what happens in many relationships where there is passion, but the partners fail to align their expectations and values. Chemistry can spark the flame of love, but compatibility is what keeps it burning. And compatibility doesn't mean you're alike in every respect. It means you manage to fit together like two different puzzle pieces, each finding its place beside the other. Sometimes the pieces don't seem to fit at first. You have to rotate them, adjust your perspective a bit, and only then do they click into place. At the end of the day, why do we love whom we love? We may never be able to formulate a complete answer, like a mathematical equation, but we know it's not random. Every great love comes with a lesson and a chance to discover ourselves. We may love a particular person because our soul recognizes in theirs something it needs, whether that's affection, safety, challenge, or inspiration. Compatibility ensures we can live together harmoniously, while chemistry gives us the energy and desire to be together. When the two weave together beautifully, love blossoms. When chemistry is there but compatibility falls short, love can become a dizzying carousel, sometimes a painful one. And if compatibility is perfect on paper but the spark is missing, the relationship risks remaining platonic, lacking that magic that brings two hearts close. True love asks us to look beyond first impressions, not to rely only on the first rush, but to pay attention to how we feel after the emotions settle. Do we feel respected? Heard? Do we share what truly matters to each of us? Can we laugh together? Can we cry together? Can we be ourselves with our strengths and flaws and still be loved? These are the questions that define deep compatibility, and the answers don't appear right away. You don't find them in the first days or weeks of euphoria. Compatibility reveals itself over time, as two people go through experiences together, both joyful and challenging. Sometimes the surprise is that someone you thought you had nothing in common with turns out to be the ideal partner, if you give them the chance and the patience to truly get to know them. Other times, unfortunately, you realize that a great passion can't be turned into a happy life together, however much you wish it could, because your views of life are too different. The good news is that, knowing all this, we can love with greater awareness. We can enjoy the chemistry that sweeps us off our feet, live fully in that heady rush of falling in love, and at the same time, keep a clear-headed part of us that observes how we function as a team in the crunch times. We can listen to our intuition and to our values. We can dance with passion, and also check whether we keep the same rhythm when the music softens. So if you were to walk away with one idea from this chapter, it would be this. True love is both chemistry and compatibility, spark and structure, emotion and balance. And when you find both in the same love story, you know you have something truly special. Compatibility may not be immediately obvious at first. You might need to look closely and give it time. But once you discover it, it gives your feelings substance and direction. And chemistry, no matter how dramatic or understated it is the catalyst that brings you together and makes you feel fully alive. Ultimately, why do we love who we love? Because that person, with all the differences and similarities between you, manages to strike a unique chord in your heart. And when that chord resonates in harmony with theirs, the music of love is born, sometimes improvisational jazz, other times a well-orchestrated symphony. What matters is that you find your shared rhythm. Love is far from a fleeting whim of brain chemistry or a mere matter of calculated compatibility. It is the art of marrying spontaneity and maturity, passion and harmony. Love with your whole heart, but be wise in choosing the soul with whom your heart can dance and feel safe. That is how, step by step, you will discover your own answer to the question, why do we love who we love? An answer that in fact rewrites itself and deepens beautifully with every day you love and are loved.